Cari.
Well, this evening I am so pleased to introduce a new friend of mine from Twitter named Sheldon Wiggle. He comes from Cape Town, South Africa. Sheldon, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thanks, Cari. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I've got to
That's good.
know, how did you find our show?
Cari, to be honest, I can't actually remember. I found you on Twitter. I saw someone must have retweeted it at some point, and I think I saw Bill's Twitter handle and went onto his timeline and saw him speaking about Your Voice Radio. So I gave it a try the one day, and that was probably about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And been hooked on it ever since. I listen to it every day. I download the podcast and listen to it every day on my way to work.
That's fantastic. That's amazing to me that you're halfway across the world and you're listening to our little podcast here. So you were a Donald Trump fan before he ran for president, is that right?
Absolutely. I used to be a huge fan of The Apprentice. I used to watch that. It was televised here in South Africa. And was a big fan. And, once Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, started making noises about becoming, running for president, the media across here, pretty much like your media, portrayed him as an absolute lunatic. And, I used to read the newspaper and watch the CNN and watch our local TV news. And at first I started thinking, wow, the things that Mr. Trump is saying are pretty crazy. And they were really portraying him in a very bad light. And then I just thought, well, I'm going to make up my own mind. And I actually started watching some of his speeches and hearing the full context of what he was saying. And it made 100% sense to me. And from that moment, I was rooting for him right throughout the primaries. I was hoping he would. I honestly didn't believe. I was one of those people before I discovered Bill and you guys. I believed the polls, and they were telling us he had no chance, and yet he kept winning and winning and winning, and suddenly he was the Republican nominee. It was amazing.
Was there a particular issue of his that stuck out to you?
I think just I've traveled to America a couple of times. I'm a huge fan. I'm a South African citizen, but I love America. I think it's a great country. It's a place that's very dear to me, and I've got a lot of friends in America. And I think Mr. Trump was basically talking out against all the things that were potentially going to destroy what makes America great.
Like what?
And I think the massive issue, amongst other things, is just the immigration problem, the fact that immigrants are just being allowed in, and potentially with Hillary Clinton coming into power, if the Democrats got another term, it would become a basket case, a little bit like Western Europe has become.
Exactly. Well, tell me, what are the main issues facing where you live? What is South Africa dealing with?
Look, we're now 21 years into post-apartheid democracy, so we're still a very young democracy. We're facing massive problems on various levels. We also have a huge immigrant problem where people from right throughout the continent of Africa have poured across our border. So we've got about 8 million Zimbabweans living in South Africa alone who've fled their situation in their own country. So we well aware of what happens when immigrants pour into your country. It's created a huge problem for us. And we also face challenges along the lines of a very corrupt government, a very poor service delivery in terms of them rolling out what they promised when apartheid ended. A lot of promises were made to the black people of South Africa, and very few of those promises have been delivered on. So we're still sitting in a situation where most of the country's living in poverty, but there's a rich elite who are running the country and are basically stealing from everybody else. So a lot of similarities, in fact, with your government, the problems that you're facing, where you've got this rich elite in Washington, D.C., who are completely out of touch with reality across the rest of the country.
Well, how about that? That does sound extremely familiar. Okay, so my question for you, Sheldon, how does Trump winning the presidency in America, how does that affect South Africa?
Look, I think, firstly, just to put it in perspective, I would say 95% of the people in South Africa have been brainwashed by the mainstream media. Most people here think Donald Trump is a monster. He's been completely misrepresented in the media. Most people here, including Christians, I'm an evangelical Christian, and most of the people who go to my church were hoping that Hillary Clinton would win. They were completely clueless about the policies that Trump and Clinton stand for. They just thought Clinton's a good woman and Trump's a bad man, and based on that, they wanted Clinton to win. But I think by and large we rely on America. They're one of our largest trading partners, and I believe if Donald Trump, with him becoming president now, the American economy can only grow and go from strength to strength. It's had 8 years of stagnation under the Obama administration, and there's always a saying that when Wall Street sneezes, the rest of the world catches pneumonia, and we've felt the effect of that. So I'm over the moon that he's won, and I mean just the fact that Wall Street had a record week.
Yes.
First, it's its biggest gain since 2011 in the week since Donald Trump won the presidency. I mean, that alone shows you that investors know what's good for them, and it's going to be great for the American economy, and the knock-on effects will be good for the rest of the world.
Interesting. So what I would like for you to do, Sheldon, is to kind of keep tabs on the temperature towards Donald Trump in South Africa. Once he kind of gets into office, I hope that those who think he was a bad choice for America see that maybe the media wasn't truthful about him. Do you think that'll happen?
Cari, it's already happening. People that I work with, for a lot of them, when the election results came out at about, it was about 9, I think it was 3 a.m. your time. It was around about 9, 10 o'clock in South Africa. We were all at work. We had CNN streaming in our chill room, and people were watch Donald Trump give his acceptance speech. And I would say for almost everyone in that room, apart from me, it was the first time they'd ever heard one of his speeches from start to finish.
Really?
And absolutely, everyone stood there and they were gobsmacked. Their faces they were amazed. They all said, wow, what an amazing speech. That was a great speech. And slowly but surely, I've been talking to people, feeling them out. I work with a number of Americans, so I've got to be very careful what I say. But slowly but surely, I've chatted to a few of my South African colleagues, and people are starting to actually say, you know what? He's someone different, and he can only be better than what they've had up until now. So I think people are starting to see that potentially this is going to be a good thing for America. And I mean, I'm convinced it's going to be a good thing. I'm 100% sure. I'm as sure as Bill was that he was going to win. I'm as sure as Bill was that he's going to be a great president. So I'm in no doubt.
That's such good news. Well, I hope that you keep listening, and I hope you keep us posted on what happens in South Africa. We would love to have your input again sometime on the show. Would you like to do that?
Definitely. I would love to do that and sort of keep you updated of the sort of temperature in South Africa towards President Trump. And I honestly believe people are going to slowly but surely get won over by him. And I think the biggest thing is those first 100 days in office, when he starts basically ticking off that to-do list and checking off each thing. And he's got some big ticket things there that he can actually check off quite quickly.
Yes. And
they're going to realize, wow, this guy in his first 100 days has actually accomplished more than Obama did in 8 years. So
I think he's already accomplished more than before he's even gotten in office than Obama
Absolutely.
did in 8 years.
I wouldn't argue with that. I would say he's already, if nothing else, he's got Russia respecting America again. I mean, what an achievement.
What an achievement indeed. Well, Sheldon, we are so happy to make your acquaintance, and we are so happy you're a fan of the show, and we are just privileged to have you in our audience. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you, Cari, and thank you. Please say hi to Bill and the rest of the team. And just to tell you one more thing, when I woke up that morning, it was I think it was midnight your time. I woke up here. And I turned on my Twitter feed, and I was petrified. I didn't know what I was going to see. And the first thing I saw was a tweet from Bill that said that Mr. Trump had just won Florida, and then I knew it was all over.
Yeah.
And literally, I'm not lying to you. I actually got tears in my eyes because I knew how much this meant to America, and it was phenomenal. So Bill broke the news to me via a tweet.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, we knew Florida kind of had us on the edge of our seat too, but once Florida went Trump, we were all very, very relieved and happy. So
Absolutely.
That is,
I
love hearing that. Yeah, love hearing your story about that. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, and we'll talk to you again hopefully soon in the future, Sheldon.
Great, Cari. Thank you so much for your time as well. Great talking to you.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.